Shinnick, CYInterview, covering Las Vegas and the world. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button below to keep up with everything we have going on here at CYInterview in Las Vegas and beyond. We greatly appreciate. Right above me is the Paris Las Vegas Hotel and Casino's Eiffel Tower. We're standing right under it. And the reason we're out here today is because right now at Paris and at Bally's, the World Series of Poker is going on. And today we're going to bring you one of our past CYInterviews with one of the greatest poker champions ever, Phil Hellmuth, and here it is.
I'd like to welcome my guest this time. He is definitely one of the more well-known poker players probably in the entire world. He has 9 World Series of Poker bracelets. Phil Hellmuth, how are you doing today, my friend?
Fantastic.
Tell me about the upcoming things that you're working on promoting. I know that you have another Phil Hellmuth camp coming up, so just tell me what's going on overall, and you can promote anything you would like.
Well, I have a 2006 calendar at jfturner.com. Selling really well, a tips calendar. In fact, I think it's only like $12.99. I think it's way too cheap because it has 365 nice tips on it. You know, my books seem to be doing well, all 3 of them, and my DVDs are doing well. We have a new DVD coming out, the Camp Hellmuth DVD from the first Camp Hellmuth. You know, the cell phone game's been awesome, and so, you know, I mean, I've been very blessed with a lot of great projects.
Was there a hand or event that got you hooked on poker overall?
Boy, oh boy, that was so long ago, I'm not sure I can remember. An exact hand.
Do you think internet poker has helped the industry as it's given a chance for you and some of the other accomplished poker players to be spokespersons for certain sites like yourself at Ultimate Bet? How much has online poker helped the industry, you think?
Oh, absolutely. Online poker and television with the whole card cameras have been the difference, I mean, between now and then. And, you know, back then, you know, I remember 2000 was kind of a low point in poker, and that, you know, we had 35 people play at the Bicycle Club's championship event. And when I won that championship event in 1988, which is a long time ago, you know, we had 150 or something like that, and it was a $10,000 buy-in. And, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, so I think maybe 01, maybe it was 01 that was kind of the low watermark, and then all of a sudden in 02, there were television cameras everywhere. Ben Affleck was in the room. I remember going over there and welcoming him to the tournament, and he's like, Phil! He's the hottest actor in the world. He knows my name, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just kind of freaky.
How different would you say the 1989 World Series of Poker Championship main event was compared to today? Now we're 16 years later, over 6,000 people are probably getting their 5,600 this past one. How much do you think it has changed as far as when you won it compared to now?
Well, I mean, you know, you had a chance back then. You know, you know, I mean, with 6,000 people, I still have a chance, but, you know, you have to play an extra 2 days, and there's some crazy amateurs, and, you know, they're going to put all of their money in with weak hands, and, you know, and that means that I'm going to be a 4.5 to 1 favorite or 2.5 to 1 favorite for a huge pot, but I'm going to have to play that pot 4 or 5 times, and so, you know, back then you didn't, you know, none of the professionals, it was all pros for all those years, and no one wanted to put all their money in with the worst hand, so that's a huge difference right there, and, you know, it's also become one of the most exciting events in the world, which is great, so, you know, I mean, I'm really glad, you know, I'm really glad that poker's gotten this big.
What do you remember about that final hand, if anything, in the feeling when you beat Johnny Chan in the 1989 championship heads up?
Well, I was surprised he called. I mean, you know, I mean, I raised, he re-raised, and I just moved all in. And I think he knew that I had the best hand when he called with the A7 of spades. I mean, I'm pretty sure he knew, so I was surprised that he called 400,000 more. You know, and then when he did call and I saw his hand, I was surprised he called, and I said, uh-oh, you know. Why would he make this call? Obviously, he feels like he's going to hit an ace.
Yeah.
So I was a little worried because I had seen Chan over 1988 and 1989. I had seen him hit some really lucky hands. I mean, he'd have ace-10, they'd have ace-jack, and he'd hit a 10, and he'd have ace-queen. queen, they'd have ace king, you'd hit a queen. I'd seen it a bunch of times, and so
Mhm.
I was like, uh-oh, he's going to hit an ace. You
Yeah.
know? And you know, and then there's a part of me that's like, all right, well, at least you got it all in there with the best hand.
Mhm.
And then when it came king, king, 10, I was like, all right, safe so far. And then a queen in the turn. And
Mhm.
I remember thinking I'm exactly 2.5 to 1 favorite with one card to come now.
Yeah.
And when I turned the 6 off, it was like, oh my God, this was a lifetime goal that I achieved, winning
Mhm.
the World Series of Poker, and I'm only 24.
Yeah.
You know, and it left me with a great feeling. It was like last year I had a lifetime goal of having a best-selling book, and about a year ago I got called by HarperCollins, and
Yeah.
I was told Play Poker Like the Pros is on the New York Times bestseller list.
Mhm.
You know, for a how-to book, and I was like, oh my God,
Mhm.
there's another lifetime goal achieved, and you walk around feeling great for a week.
Mhm. Did becoming the 1989 World Series of Poker champion change your life, or did you know that you had to stay focused and continue to play as best as you possibly could?
Of course it changed my life. I mean, all of a sudden, I mean, there was a lot of press in Madison, Wisconsin.
Mhm.
There was press at the national level, and, winning $750,000 when you're 24 years old,
Mhm.
that's a lot of money back in '89.
Mhm. How do you think you will feel when you win that 10th World Series of Poker bracelet, since Doyle Brunson and Johnny Chin are the only other two people that have 10 bracelets?
Well, I was tied with Chan and Brunson at 9 for a long time,
Mhm.
so, it felt pretty good, and I wanted to be the first guy to 10.
Mhm.
And when I win number 10, it's gonna be pretty awesome. And I think when I win number 10, I'm gonna have a chance to win number 11. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if next year I won number 10 and number 11. But the fields are getting bigger too. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a great feeling, and it's gonna be an amazing feeling if I can ever own the bracelet lead on my own.
Uh-huh. What odds do you give yourself on winning the World Series of Poker main event again?
Well, if you think in terms of odds, you screw yourself, because you figure there's going to be, somewhere over 8,000 people next year. And
Uh-huh.
it could easily be 10,000. So I don't like to think in terms of what are the odds.
Mhm.
Rather, I'd like to think in terms of, it's going to happen.
Mhm.
In the next 10, 15 years, you're going to win it again, Phil. And that's it. I don't care what the math says. I don't care what anybody says.
Mhm.
Just do it.
Do you think 2003 World Series of Poker champion Chris Moneymaker helped poker because it brought interest from other normal, average Joe people who think they can just be like him, and maybe that brought more revenue to the poker industry as a whole as well?
Absolutely. Moneymaker was huge for our industry. I mean, he came along right when the television came along, and
Mhm.
Moneymaker and Raymer have been great for the game.
Mhm. You had the opportunity to meet and I guess have a few sports personalities, including Michael Jordan and Andy Roddick, who really seem to enjoy what you do. What's it like to be accepted by those guys and then be fans of your poker play?
Actually, I invited Andy Roddick to the NBC Heads Up Championships, and he's planning on playing right now, so that'll be cool. And he has some talent, And as far as MJ goes, I only met him once, and he wanted to play poker with me, and I didn't have enough money, so, the next time I'm at the Kentucky Derby, I'll bring a few dollars with me,
Mhm.
just in case he wants to play.
Okay. What did you think of all those news reports of Alex Rodriguez playing poker, and how some people might be making a bigger deal about it, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems to me like they made a mountain out of a molehill,
Mhm. What is the biggest hand you ever bluffed, if you could think of one?
Well, there's been a lot of big bluffs in my life,
Mhm.
Sometimes you just get a feeling that the other guy can't call.
Mhm.
Probably the biggest hand I ever bluffed was shown on television in 2003,
Mhm.
when Tony D had 10 Jack and the board was King,
Mhm.
Jack, Jack,
Mhm.
4, and I had 2 7s, and he check raised me, and I just moved them all in.
Mhm. wager on sports or enjoy any other type of casino games at all, or is it just poker for you?
I haven't bet on sports for about 2 years, but I kind of like betting on football.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I just haven't. You see, when I bet on sports, I call the best sports handicappers in the world
Mm-hmm.
and get their picks.
Yeah.
And I think I won 7 games in a row, and I just stopped betting because I went to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, the last game I bet was LSU
Mm-hmm.
versus
Oklahoma?
versus Oklahoma
Mm-hmm.
in the national championship game in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Australia, and so I kind of stopped betting.
Mm-hmm. How much do you think ESPN's coverage of the World Series of Poker event has created a poker fad when everyone thinks they can play? And do you think this poker fad or craze will end in a few years, or is this here to stay at this point?
Well, I think people love poker now, and they're used to watching it. They understand the game, and so I think that we're going to see poker around for a long time. I think it's going to get bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Will it be as hot in the media as it is right now? I'm not sure,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think it's ever going back anywhere close to where it was. I mean, I think,
Mm-hmm.
Especially with so many young people just loving the game.
Mm-hmm. How important do you think it is to be fan-friendly and shake everybody's hand when you enter a table like you do, and be very cordially, and just be able to be there for the fans and shake their hands and sign autographs? You seem to be very catering to the fans, as I would say. How important do you think that is as a poker player to keep your image up?
Well, I mean, I'm the bad boy at poker, so I don't really have to shake anybody's hands. I could just, be like John McEnroe was in his heyday and say, forget it,
Mm-hmm.
But I do. Everybody that asks for an autograph, I give an autograph to.
Mhm.
Everybody that wants to shake my hand, I do it. If they want a picture, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm in an airport, I'll have my sunglasses on, my hat pulled low, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll have my noise-canceling headphones on, and I'm walking really fast. So
Mm-hmm.
if the real fans will want to run after me and tap me on the shoulder, then I'll give them an autograph. But I'm kind of, because it becomes a different world when you sign so many autographs. You get mobbed all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I'm not going to ever complain. It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a different thing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a job then to shake autographs. I mean, to shake hands and do autographs, and that's and I feel blessed and lucky, and so I'll continue to do it.
Why do you think everyone makes a big deal of your burst outs and behavior at the tables?
Well, they make a big deal of it because I behave badly at the table. Sometimes I'm kind of a poker brat.
Mm-hmm.
And hence my name, Poker Brat.
Obviously.
And I just think, it's people enjoy watching that on television. I laugh at myself when I'm watching on TV. I'm like, who is this idiot?
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't even relate to myself when I'm watching. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not the way I act most of the time in my life.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, you said on this year's, of course, 2005 World Series of Poker that your wife is a psychologist. Now, I must ask, does she say that it's good to maybe let the frustrations and anger out and maybe not keep it all bundled up inside, and maybe that would be one of the reasons that we can lead to the behavior and the burst outs in a sense?
Well, first of all, my wife is a psychiatrist,
Okay.
which means she went to medical school.
Mm-hmm.
And, can prescribe drugs.
Mhm.
No, I don't take any drugs.
Mhm.
But there's never been any discussion of, between her and I. In fact, if anything, of course, she's embarrassed by my conduct. So, yeah, she doesn't want me to act that way. I don't want me to act that way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just lose it.
Yeah. Okay, finally, what do you have left to accomplish in the poker industry, you think?
Well, I think I need to win another 16 World Championships.
16, okay.
15, maybe 24. Put that up on the board and see if anybody can catch it. The thing is, I'll be winning World Championships in my 70s, so...
You really think so?
80s, yeah.
Okay.
Well, if Doyle Brunson has won World Championships, World Poker Tours events in the 70s, that's a good sign for me, so...
So there's like no retirement ever. You just continue to play until you're dead or you can't see or something of that nature.
Yeah, I'm not going to retire from poker ever. I'll always play the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other things I'd like to do with my life. I mean, there's a movie about my life called The Madison Kid in Hollywood, and it had Hayden Christensen attached and Joe Rubin as the director, and
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen. I'd like my own reality show. I really want to write a book on how to achieve great things in life.
Uh-huh.
I think it's going to do really well, and I have some crazy high goals. So I'm probably going to buy my own jet,
Mm-hmm.
and throw the Hellmuth logo on the tail.
Mm-hmm.
There's some stuff. There's some fun stuff like that I want to do
Okay.
as well.
Well, thank you so much for your honesty and your time today, Phil. We really appreciate it, and we will be talking to you again soon. So thank you so much for the time today.
Okay.